We started last week with the painting here that's behind me, a scene, from County Clare. I'll try and fix this. And I got this far, which is the first stage, is actually the first two stages. The first is composing, where each of those big shapes are going to fit on your canvas. The second is blocking in a base colour in a very thin wash over the whole surface. So it's been resting for a week, it's dry, and what I want to do with you today is simply what happens next. So I will simply have the camera on for about 15 or 20 minutes, and at this point there isn't so much maybe instruction involved, it becomes much more kind of fluid and instinctive when you're actually in there working on it. But I hope that you'll join me for a bit. If you have any questions or any comments, just write them in below and I'll come back to those later on. So I'll get back to where I am with this. You can see the scene is a very simple one, just four big shapes. I got the sky, the background water, this will be the white foam, and the land. And this, first layered there was a very thin one. I've put out the very same colours here today. Very minimal. I've got white, ultramarine blue, cerulean, viridian, and two browns, burnt umber and burnt sienna. So from those I've also just got a little jar with sans odor, odor-free turpentine here. So what I'm doing now is simply strengthening the marks that are here, but what I want to be very careful of is not to lose the initial energy that got laid on first. So some of this I want to try to preserve and not tidy it up too much. What I like is some of the immediacy of some of these marks, but they just need more paint. But I want to be sure as I'm working on it now that I don't then just tidy it all up and, make it look tired in the process. So very carefully, I'm going to start with the sky, and I have just some indication of blue here. I'm going to strengthen that a little bit. So I got my knife, I'm going to pull out a mix first of these two blues, add some white to it, get a basic lightish blue colour, and with my brush I'm just dipping my brush in the sans odor to wet it a little bit. I'm going to come back where I want this blue to be, just on one side. I want it to be a bit more cerulean, so I'm just changing that a little bit. And a little bit of the paler cerulean. I'll introduce a little bit lower down. Like that. Okay. And then there's a very dramatic cloud scene with very dark grey clouds, but also the light catching some of these white clouds as well. So to get that grey, I forgot to put out indigo, I'll go and get that now. So I'm going to add a little indigo just to this blue mix, and I'll add a little bit of brown to that as well, just to grey it further. And I'll start with it quite dark because as I add the white, it'll blend on the surface. So here now, I've got a fairly dry brush at the moment, and I'm just dipping the tip of the brush into the liquid to soften it. And all the time I'm applying it, I'm conscious of the strokes I'm making. So I want these clouds to feel like they're being driven by the wind and scudding like that, rather than, you know, just dabbing at it or painting it across or something. I want to try and feel that movement as I'm putting the paint down. Now I'm just going to use this same brush. I've just used one brush and dipping straight into white here. Now picking up some of the white that's here. Like that. I'm going to add a bit of the pale blue here. And I'm bringing the clouds right up over the blue sky I've already put in. Adding a bit more white to that. And a bit more up here, a bit brighter again. And just a bit more paint up here. Now if I want to get the effect of a rain shower in the distance, I can just pull down my brush like that. And some more paint up here. A bit grayer. A bit more blue into that. And indigo. And a bit more white on the top there, catching the light. And I'm going to bring some more white highlights through here as well, on the edge of those clouds. And again, this feeling of the light coming down from there. And a bit more. And I've used the knife a little bit here too. More white in it. And then I can smooth that in